So you have a 35A and then 35B is the same process, okay? So if you have the point -6 and -4 in standard position, -6 is to the left, -4 is down. So this is where your theta is. So -6, -4, okay? So you are finding the tangent of theta. Well, the tangent of theta is just going to be the opposite over the adjacent. So if you are finding tangent, you technically don't even need to find the hypotenuse. Okay, you can just do the tangent of theta equals O over A. So -4 over -6. Negative over a negative becomes a positive. So this would be 2/3. Did some of you find what the hypotenuse was? If you did, it is, you did want to find R, then R squared, R would equal the square root of 52, 16 and 36, and then that did simplify to 2 root 13. So if they asked you to find sine or cosine, you'd have to use that. Because it's tangent, you didn't have to, okay? But you do want to know how to find R, like we did in A. Alright, so it says draw an angle of rotation that represents, so for 120, you just have to know where the degrees are, which I feel like we're good at. Here's 90 degrees, here's 180, so 120, I'm going to start at standard position, which is always on the right side, and then 30 degrees past 90, so this would be, theta is 120. Okay, and then for B, you have -250. So negative goes clockwise or counterclockwise? Clockwise. So this is -270 here, right? This is -180. So -250 is going to be about 20 degrees away from that. Okay, so theta is -250 degrees. Okay, and then for 37, Brianna creates a makeshift tent by leaning a branch against a tree and then draping a tarp over it. And the roof is constructed from the 13-foot branch. Here's my tree. And then the branch is gonna be here. So this is the 13 feet, and then it's 4 feet from the base of the tree. Okay, what is the angle that it makes with the ground? Okay, so in any of the right angled trig problems, you just want to identify which one is the opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. This is the adjacent and hypotenuse. So A and H is going to be cosine. Now because you're finding the angle, you can use the cosine inverse. So that would be 4 over 13. For this entire section, you do want to be in degree mode. Okay, so if you notice that you're getting answers that don't really fit, make sure that you check to make sure you are in degree mode. And this was 72.1. That's it, and so it'll be about 72 degrees. It didn't say what to round to, so whatever you rounded to is fine. For 37. Okay? Alright, Samantha, whose eye level is 5 feet 5 above the ground, determines the angle of elevation to the top of Hazlitt High School to be 35.8. So this is how I draw my peeps. Anytime you have an angle of elevation, it starts at the horizontal and goes up. So this is 35.8 degrees. Okay, and then it says she's standing 50 feet from the base of the school. Okay, so we'll make this our beautiful school. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to find the height of the school. So the height of the entire building here. What we can do is we can find this height because we know from here to here is 5.5. into here, 5.5. Okay, obviously this is not drawn to scale. So when you are figuring out how to find x, pay attention. So when you have the trig functions, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, so that means you do the tangent. Okay, so opposite over adjacent. So we're going to do 50 times the tangent of 35.8, and then whatever we get from that, we're going to end up adding the 5.5. So you should have got 36.06 as x, and then add the 5.5. So you will get approximately 42 feet. Okay. So I got the 41, I got 41.56, and then I just rounded it to 42. So if you got the, oh yeah, it does say to the nearest foot. So round it to 42. Okay, when you are converting the 19 pi over 6 from radians to degrees, you have to multiply by 180 over pi. Okay, and you can use your calculator for this, so it's perfectly fine. You multiply and then divide by 6. I also said to myself, oh, I know 6 goes in here 30 times, and then I multiplied. Okay, either way is fine. You'll get 570 degrees. How many of you are putting the unit circle on your note card?
The first one.
Okay, first quadrant. Alright, so when you are doing this, when you're evaluating, you are going to use the unit circle. Okay, so for the sine of 270, when I'm doing this, I think of it as, okay, this is where 270 is on my unit circle. The point there is 0, -1, and the sine is which part of the coordinate? Y. So if it's the y coordinate, it's just going to be -1. Okay, so if you need a reminder that sine is the y coordinate, you can put that on there. Okay, remember tangent is y over x, and secant is going to be the reciprocal of your cosine. So for the tangent at -120, you can use your reference angles, right? -120 is going to be in what quadrant? In here, right? So in quadrant 3. In quadrant 3, your tangent should be what? Positive, right? All students take classes. I would use my reference angle, so I know that my reference angle is 60. And if I know that my reference angle is 60, all I have to know is my tangent at 60. At 60 degrees, what's the tangent? Sorry, that's really small. Okay, so yeah, so it's √3. So this is also going to be the square root of 3. Okay, obviously if you have your unit circle, you'd be able to find it on there. Reference angle, 60 degrees. Just find what it is and adjust for the quadrant. So in quadrant 3, tangent's positive, so this has to be positive. For the secant of 330, that's like 1 over the cosine at 330. Okay, so again, you could use your reference angle. At 330 degrees, do we know what the reference angle is? 30. So at 30 degrees, your point is √3 over 2, 1/2. We know that the cosine is the x coordinate, so √3 over 2. And then because we're doing the reciprocal, all we have to do is flip it. So it's 2 over √3. If there is a radical on the bottom, you will simplify. So it'll be 2 √3 over 3. Okay, so with the reference angle, 30 degrees, okay, and then you can go ahead and just adjust for the quadrant. So this is in Q4. In Q4, cosine is positive. Alright, now, when it says find all the possible angle values, that is when you have the plus 2 pi n. So if you didn't remember that, because I saw some people didn't, you can look at the answers and they will say you'll have some plus 2 pi n. Hopefully that will help you remember. Alright, so what this is asking you is where on the unit circle is the sine value or the y value negative root 2 over 2. Okay, so when I did this, I always just draw my little unit circle and I say to myself, okay, this is where sine is root 2 over 2 at 45 degrees. This is also positive, right? All students take classes. So the sign is negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So I just have to find out what those are. You can count to find this one. This would be 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4. So 5 pi over 4 plus 2 pi n would be an answer. Now you could also count here, but understand that if this is pi over 4, this is just negative pi over 4 plus 2 pi n. Okay? And that is likely what you would see as an answer. The same thing is 7 pi over 4. So if you wrote the 7 pi over 4 plus 2 pi n, that's not incorrect. Just be able to recognize both of them, okay? Because either one is a possible answer. All right, the tangent of 0. So where is the tangent 0? The tangent is 0 when the y is 0. So that's going to happen at 0 and at pi. So if you do 0 plus 2 pi n, that's just 2 pi n. Okay, and then pi plus 2 pi n, that's your other answer. If you put 2 pi plus 2 pi n, that is a place where tangent is 0, but it'll always be within the first rotation that the answer will be given. Okay, and then the last one, where is the cosine positive 1/2? So the cosine is positive 1/2 here. This is the point, right? At pi over 3. So it's pi over 3 plus 2 pi n. Where's the other quadrant where cosine is positive? 1, 2, 3, or 4? 4. So this is just negative pi over 3 plus 2 pi n. So again, if you counted and you found that it was 5 pi over 3, okay, that's the same thing as negative pi over 3. So again, just be able to recognize either one of those, okay? All right, evaluate each inverse trig function. Give your answer in radians and degrees. So this is where you have the restrictions. For sine, it's q1 and 4. For cosine, it's q1 and 2. For tangent, it's q1 and 4. So where in quadrant 1 or 4 is the sine 1/2? It's at pi over 6, which is 30 degrees. Okay, the cosine is 1. Be careful that you don't mistake it for the tangent. The cosine is 1 here. And that's at 0 radians, which is 0 degrees. So that's your answer for B. 0 and 0 degrees. Okay, where's the tangent one? Where's the tangent one? Pi over 4, which is 45 degrees. Okay, so the unit circle is really helpful for 40, 41, 42. Okay, for 43, we're going to have to use our calculator to do the inverse to find theta. So once you do the cosine inverse of 0.68, okay, you will get 47.2. How do I know I have to keep going? Why can't I just stop here? Yeah, it's not in the restrictions, right? Theta has to be between 180 and 360. So this is how you decide what where to put it. You know 180 to 360 is Q3 and Q4, but the cosine is positive. So which one is the cosine positive? Q3 or Q4? Q4. So cos is positive. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to draw your reference angle in Q4. So it's the 47.2 degrees. What you're finding is the angle that starts at 0 and ends up here, okay, where that reference angle is. So to find that, in this case, see how these two together make 360? You can just do 360 minus the 47.2, and that's how you get the 312.8. Alright, and then B is very similar, where you're going to start by doing the sine inverse. Notice that this one is negative. Okay, so when you do the sine inverse, you get negative 34.1 degrees. When you are drawing your picture, remember, you're using a reference angle. So 90 to 270 is Q2 and Q3. So where is the sign negative?
Root 2 over 2.
No, what quadrant? 2 or 3? Which one is sign negative? 3. So we're going to draw this in quadrant 3. Okay, so the 34.1 okay, is going to be here. And then again, you are finding the angle that starts here at 0 and ends up here. So if you look at this, you can see that you're doing 180 plus 34.1. Okay, and then you should get 214.1 degrees. How did those go? Those are from 10.4. If you guys want to take a look back. I think we did 10.4 when some of you were on the band trip, so if you're feeling like that's a little foggy, maybe go back, watch some of that. Alright, now for this one, what are the measures of G and E? In order to do this, you have to solve for O. So you're going to do 180 minus 15 minus 85. Really, 15 plus 85 is what? 100. Okay, so the measure of O is 80 degrees. Once you have that, you can set up your law of sines. I'll use a foggy color since it's foggy outside. So we have the sine of 80 degrees over 10 equals, now, is this a time where it matters which one I find first? No. Okay, so it does not matter which one you find first. So as long as you do the sine of 15 over G, and then you're going to cross multiply to solve.
Oh my God, Julia. Great.
Okay, and then you should get about 2.6 for this. And it does say to the nearest 10, so we'll round it to the nearest 10. Now, your setup for the other one is the sine of 80 over 10. Stop driving us. Okay, and then the sine of 85 degrees over E. So remember, the pair is, you go across. So 85 goes over to E, the 15 goes over to G. Okay, and then again, you can cross multiply to solve. So 10 times the sine of 85. Make sure you close that parenthesis. Okay, to find your final value, which is 10.1. Okay, so the test goes in order of the questions that you have. So, like question 50 is on chapter 11. That will be the same. Okay, so it does go in order of the chapters in the sense that 5 and 6 are first, then 7, 8, okay, then 10, then 11.